I was reliably informed last week that it's Brighton Hate Week. I have a feeling Brighton Hate Week is continuing to this week. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League. This week, it's four friends coming at you. We've got, my name is James. I support Arsenal. Right above me is Joel. He supports Newcastle. Next to Joel is Brad. He supports Chelsea. Down below, beneath Brad, that's Sean. He supports Tottenham in disappointment and regret. But gentlemen, hello, good day. How are you guys?
I could be a little bit happier. The draw to Forest kind of feels bad, but it's not feels time yet.
It does feels bad. It does feels bad.
Not yet. We're
couple weeks.
We're getting close to feels though.
Yeah, we'll have to get thinking about our feelings here in a couple weeks, I think. Joel, as always, thanks again for joining us. We really do appreciate you bringing a semblance of maturity to this organization.
I don't know about that. No, thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I always make time for you guys in my hectic schedule.
Well, we do appreciate it. If you have clicked on this video, clicked on the podcast, we do first, let me say thank you. If you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell if you are on YouTube. If you're on one of the audio only podcast sites, follow, 5-star review, rate review, all those things. Anything that you can do on your platform that seems like it's a good thing, we would appreciate if you did that. Hit the share button, put it on your social media, send it to your family. And those things do help us out tremendously. So where are we at? We are just finished match week 7. And boys, we have played 7 games in the Premier League, and we have had 2 international breaks. That's right. We are currently in the midst of international break number 2 in the club football calendar. Fantastic. Well done, FIFA. Great job. I think I'm just going to blame
games.
I'm going to blame Sepp Blatter for this one too. It's probably his fault as well. And
Roger's going to take that down.
Joel, I always thought you would have more of a schedule instead of a schedule.
Schedule. Man.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to have a schedule. I mean, I've lived here 11 years. There's only so much so much you can resist picking up on.
Well, when you put a C in something, when you put a C in the spelling, there's got to be a pronunciation of the C at some point.
Unless you put an H next to it. It could be anything.
Schedule.
There's a whole rabbit hole we can go down about pronunciations and where we both look kind of strange for the way we say things.
Before we move on to actual content, do you still use the extra U in words like honor in color when you write, or have you been Americanized?
I'm pretty much
or favor.
I'm pretty much Americanized.
Okay.
For those words, yeah. However, I will still say instead of aluminum. I can't bring myself to say aluminum. That's spelled differently, so I still spell and speak it correctly.
Well,
as a tangent,
aluminium is phonetically correct, though. It's not wrong.
As a tangent to get us back onto football, the Arsenal women did a video with Leah Williamson and what's the name of the American girl on the team? I literally just lost the name. Lisa, what's her name? Anyway, the American fullback on Arsenal. Apologies, Arsenal women, that I forgot. I'm gonna pull it up real quick while I'm thinking. But they were doing we show you a picture of something and you tell us, what it is. And essentially, one of the things was, aluminum. And the American girl at first called it tinfoil. And then she said aluminum, or she said tinfoil or aluminum foil. And Leah Williams just lost her mind. It was very funny.
I feel like we called it tinfoil as well. But maybe, again, everything seems so blurred now. I've been so long. I can't remember what I used to say and what I say now. I don't know.
So, all right.
It's still football though.
Yes.
Soccer.
Big true. big true. Speaking of football, speaking of soccer, there were some games this weekend. I don't know where specifically we should start. Emily Fox is her name, by the way. The American is Emily Fox. But should we start at the end? We've had a history over the last couple of weeks of starting at the end, the biggest fixture of the weekend.
Are we starting there?
Oh, we are starting there. Okay, Brad has decreed it.
Our history of starting with the end began when I criticized the EPL for having the crappiest game possible in their primetime games, and then they decided to just have the craziest games possible in all of their primetime.
So the final fixture of last weekend was at the Amex Stadium. It was Brighton hosting Tottenham, and it was certainly a tale of two halves. If I've ever seen it. Spurs go into halftime up 2-0, and within 20 minutes or something like that of the second half, they are losing 3-2. Danny Welbeck, Arsenal legend, gets the winner for Brighton against Spurs. Sean, I feel like I just have to give you the floor. Tell me about this. What are your feelings?
Firstly, a funny, during halftime, I guess they're sponsored by DraftKings. They posted the real-time money line odds, going into the second half, and Brighton were 18-1 to win. And Brittany was like, "You should bet that." And I was like, "No way. Brighton have like no possession. Even when they've had possession, we've stolen it back. They're toothless. Like, I can't. That's just a waste of money." So that's one. I would have just flipped 18-1. I would have just flipped.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. She told you to bet against your team winning. You know what?
She was like, "That's really good odds. You should bet that."
She now understands what it's like to be a Spurs fan.
It is unfortunate.
And
you're dragging her down.
Yeah. The next time she suggests something like that, I'm just gonna do it.
Just $1, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I would have won what? That's $18. I would have won $18.
You could have bought lunch.
That's how math works. Yeah. Yeah, so it's extremely disappointing, but it's funny that it was funny to me. So my first takeaway was the announcers talking about in the first half, we were oppressive. Our defenders were really intelligent. All of this praise, and then in the second half, this is why Tottenham can't win. They can't finish out games, and like you don't get to say we're oppressive and intelligent, and then turn around 40 minutes later and say how dumb we are, and this is why Tottenham do Tottenham things. Like that, then you shouldn't have said the things in the first place.
I mean,
you should have. Then you should have been honest to yourself. You should have been honest to yourself and be like, "Yeah, they look real good, but Tottenham or Tottenham, you can't claim both sides of the coin."
Bro, Tottenham fans would have been up in arms if the announcer was like, "Yeah, Tottenham's been oppressive this half, but you never know. They might go full Spursy on us." If he had said that in commentary, yes. Spurs fans would have rioted.
They would have been like, "He's probably right, actually."
And then he would have been right. And then he would have been right.
I have a question for you, Sean. Your first beverage of the night, are you more or less likely to spill it? Your first drink that you have on the night, are you more or less likely to spill it?
A general night?
General night.
Less.
Okay. On your 10th
right.
beverage, are you more or less likely to spill it?
Than the first? More.
Correct. And so here's the thing with bottling things. It doesn't happen in the first half. It happens in the second.
Okay.
So
I see where you're going with that.
Like the Spursy thing happens in the second half, not the first half.
I was wondering where that was going.
Oh, so I see what you're saying.
Both y'all were wondering where it's going. So they couldn't talk about Spurs being Spursy until the end of the game. for those.
So you're
20
more
minutes.
likely to bottle your third league in the league championship in a row than you are the first one 2 years ago.
How did you catch the stray
It's
over there, James?
I mean, it's fine. He can. I mean, that's fine. Where did Tottenham finish for the last 2 years? My team finished second and pushed Manchester City to the end. Where did your team finish? Like, so that's not a game you want to play with.
You know what? When you bottle the league, the league championship, you got to get strays. You got to get strays.
Sean, where were Tottenham 4 weeks ago? Oh, that's right, losing to Arsenal. Like, this is not a game you want to play. This is not a game you want to play with.
Yes, it is. This is exactly the game. Ask Brad. Ask Brad, who's been throwing strays from 14th the last 2 years in a row. This is exactly where you want to be, from the bottom shooting up. That's exactly where you want to be.
That's not where I want to be. It's not where I.
It's
not where I've been.
There's only one. I think there's only one team that wants to be here. Joe, so you don't want to be there, do you?
No.
No, right? We want to be sitting on the top, but it's a Spursy thing.
I want to be fair. I throw shots no matter what my league position is, so it doesn't matter. If I were leading the table, I'd be throwing shots. So
the way I kind of want to look at this game, I think it would be useful to remember that had anyone said going into the game, Tottenham lost 3-2 against Brighton at Brighton, I think everyone would look at that and be like, oh, I bet that was a really fun game. I bet it was exciting, and I bet it was really close. And, I think most people would look at that on paper and be like, okay, yeah, I mean, like, that's a reasonable result, right? The issue is the context around how we got to that result, in the fact that Spurs were so dominant in the first half, and then they really, it's strange because the first goal was a fluke. The first Brighton goal was just unlucky because Destiny Udogie tries to clear it and he just scuffs it. And then the Brighton player is there to put it in. Like, it's like a fraction too far for Van de Ven to kick. And then Udogie scuffs it. And it's like, okay, now Brighton are back in the game. But then in the time between the first Brighton goal and the second Brighton goal, Brighton were oppressive. You want to talk about a team that was oppressive? They were hunting in packs. Spurs players had very little time on the ball. And like they were like every first and second chance duels, they were just winning all of them. And like that was the part that was probably what Ange was most frustrated by, was the fact that they were getting hustled. Like they were just getting outworked between the first and the second Brighton goal. And so like I'm watching this game and I'm not like necessarily blown away by how good Brighton are. And I'm also not necessarily blown away by how like bad Spurs were, because I watched it after the fact. Like I watched it after I saw all the Ange press conference and like all of the interviews. And it like, I assumed I was going to go into the second half and see Spurs just like roll up the white flag and just not try. It was just like 5% effort difference, it felt like. Like Spurs were trying, but Brighton were trying just that much more. And they got that first goal, and then they were like, oh, let's go for it. And it just seemed like it wasn't as doom and gloom as Twitter and Ange had made me initially believe it was going to be.
And I will also provide context of, we have tied for the fourth most goals in the league. We also have tied for the fourth fewest goals allowed. That puts our goal differential at fourth as well. We also have the most expected goals in the league. We have pretty bad. We're seventh in the league in goal allowed expected. So that's not awesome.
Okay, but before you, like, I get you're rattling these off, and this is going to be like a more holistic look at Spurs this season, and like that's the point you're trying to draw.
It's not doom and gloom. We are dominating games, and law of averages, we are going to win more games the way we are playing than we will have games like this. That's the point. When you get down to, we have the most possession in the league. We have the second most shots in the league. When you get down to those type things of we are having a lot of possession and doing something with it, law of averages says that's going to go in the back of the net more times than it doesn't, especially when the expected goals are the most in the league.
Yeah, but
Eventually, that's going to start to catch up. Yeah,
but
Timo Werner is exactly what we've been saying he is for 3 years. That's not going to change, but there are goal scorers around him.
Sure.
I guess my point
you've got
was
Brennan Johnson that got Almiron. You've got Solanke, you've got Son, you've got Madison. While Johnson's on this Almiron run, we got to ride it as long as it'll ride, and then he's back. He's back to we got Kulusevski on the right.
I guess my only point was that when I watched Ange talk about it after the game, he made it like the way that the interviewers asked him the questions, the way that he responded, the pictures I saw of him on the sideline made it seem like the Spurs players went out there and just didn't care. And I don't think that's necessarily the case.
I mean, but going from that first half where you are in complete control and dominating the game, to what happened in those 20 minutes? Arsenal
did that 2 weeks ago against Leicester. We were up 2-0 at halftime. Leicester scored 2 goals. And it wasn't because and I would argue that like it was like kind of fortunate goals. Like in the same way that like I think I was telling you guys earlier that I thought that Brighton were very fortunate for the first goal. And the second goal I thought was just like slightly bad defense by Udogie by letting the Brighton player get center back side of him, and he just split the center back and the fullback, and that was poor on Udogie. But the third goal was just unlucky for Udogie, and Romero stopped playing. Like Romero was just like taking a nap and decided not to try and mark Welbeck. And so it was like it was 2 eminently preventable goals, I think, and then one that was just poor defense. But like the way that Ange and co were talking about it made it seem like they literally just didn't show up for the second half. And I don't think that's the case personally. And all of your points are true about like the holistic look at Spurs. And like, I think Spurs are good. Like, I don't think Spurs are bad. It's just, this to me seems like it's a one-off. This to me seems like a blip. This is not the Spurs we've seen all year. It's not the Spurs we'll see going forward. I actually think this could be good for Spurs in the long run, that you had this moment in match week 7 instead of, match week 17 or something like that. I think it's good to get this out of the way now so that they can use this as a focal point to be like, don't let Brighton happen again kind of situation.
Well, this is what I was talking about a week or two ago when I said I think something clicked in the Coventry game. No, it wasn't Coventry. Maybe it was Coventry. Whoever we played in the League Cup, where something clicked. Yeah, it was Coventry. Okay. Where something I felt clicked in the late in the second half. They were like, oh, we need to play to the best of our ability. And then from there, they go out from that game. They win a game on the weekend, and then they go to Budapest and win. Or maybe there was a week in between that we beat United 3-0, and then we go to Budapest and win with the kids at 3-0. It just like from there, I was like, okay, something did click, and then this happens. So maybe you're right that maybe this does like set something off in the locker room of, okay, we have seen our potential. We thought that was it, but something happened in the Brighton game. Let's not let that happen again. Maybe you're right. Maybe that is like a locker room epiphany.
I guess we'll have to see. You'll have to let us know in the comments what you guys think about this result. If you're a Tottenham fan, if you're not a Tottenham fan, I'll be curious to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. I think we have beaten this Tottenham result a little bit to the death. I think we should look towards another London team. Another London team that had an interesting result. Chelsea Forest ends 1-1 at the Bridge. This seemed a little bit out of left field if I'm being honest. Chelsea have been on a tear recently, scoring goals for fun, and they've really struggled in this match.
Yeah, Nuno playing negative ball like he always does, which is cool. Like I get it. Like that's what you have at your disposal. That's what he did at Wolves. That's what he's doing here. I like that we have a consistent starting lineup. I think I would have changed things.
Well, interesting. What would manager Brad do that's better than manager
if it was
Maresca?
me? I'm not better than him, but I would have considered Palmer on the right, put Noni on the bench, and bring João Felix in from the start as that middle person. So you can get a little bit more creativity instead of just one-on-ones, beat your man, because like there is no space to one-on-ones in a low block like this. So that's what I probably would have done. I mean, this kind of is what it is. Like I said it in the beginning, I said either we're gonna break this low block early and score a ton of goals, or it's gonna be 1-0, 0-1s, like that range of short, no goals in the game type of place. Ward-Prowse just diving on the ball.
It's pretty funny.
The full handball.
Pretty humorous.
Like, and he just gets up and walks off. Like he knew 1,000% what happened. We did have chances.
So did they. So did they, though.
Correct. They had on the breaks. They had a lot of chances.
They also had one at the death that they should have scored. I forget who it was, and it was just like he was 1-on-1 with the keeper and
Sanchez. Oh.
Yes, yeah. Sanchez has some great saves. So did their goalie too, though. Sells was playing on his head, to use a Sean phrase too. Some killer saves that both goalies came to play that game. Kind of is what it is. I mean, we still haven't lost in 6. What's up?
I'm curious. You had at least 12 minutes of extra time. So that means that you were up 10 men for no less than 24 minutes.
Yeah, but you also have to assume that those 12 minutes of extra time, the game wasn't actually happening because the referee's battery pack stopped working, and that took like an unreasonable amount of time to fix. So like the game wasn't actually flowing for those 12 minutes.
And there was a fight.
There was a fight. Yeah, that's true.
There was a fight. Don't forget about the fight.
You guys have been charged for that. You guys have both been charged for that fight.
Of course we have been. You knew that was going to happen. But apparently Nico did not slap what was his name?
Sure,
he did not slap Morato. He did not. The FA said he didn't. The FA said he's clear. So you know what the FA says goes until I disagree with it.
It's a good caveat.
But what's up, Sean? Go ahead.
I was just going to say that kind of ties into another game that I was watching because the battery or something died in the Manchester United game, and I was live texting you guys that it happened right before full time, and there were 4 minutes or 6 minutes of extra time given.
Am I conflating?
And it took him.
I might be conflating the battery not working in the Manchester United game for the Chelsea game.
It was correct.
Did I conflate? I conflated.
So it was United, where they had
to fight.
It took him a full 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and he came back at like the 91st minute. Like it took him from like 81 to 91 to get it fixed, and then they said 6 minutes on the extra time, and I was like, if they only play for 4 minutes, this is Manchester collusion. And they surely did blow the whistle. It's at 96 minutes and 30 seconds. Blew it. It was like collusion.
Yeah,
it's that Manchester refs.
All in an effort to get Manchester a point.
It was Robert Jones. But I know Robert Jones yet.
It's better if you don't know them.
I agree. Maybe Robert
Forest
Jones
have been really good this season. Going back to Forest, they've been excellent this season. I don't think it's like all on, Chelsea can win. Oh, bad game for Chelsea. No. Like they beat Liverpool away. They drew against Brighton away. Like they slipped up at home to Fulham, but I mean Liverpool slipped up at home to Forest. Like Forest have been excellent this year.
I was gonna bring that up, Joel, and I'm glad that you did because like I think Forest were good money for this draw. Like I don't think that they lucked into this. I don't think it was like I don't think Chelsea were wasteful or like you know I think that like Forest definitely earned at least a point in this game. The game was quite even, I thought.
And I'm not mad at that juxtaposition. Like, Forest doesn't score goals, but they also don't let you score goals either. Like, their low block works, and then you have Alanga and Hudson-Odoi running up to Wood. Like, yeah, that's a good recipe to nick games, to be in games. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a bad game played by Chelsea. I don't think it was a bad game played by Forest. I think Forest's game plan worked. They got a draw at the bridge, and that's a big point for them. That would be a bigger point for them than it would hurt. I think it'll be a bigger point for Forest than it is Chelsea dropping 2 points, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I think Chelsea look back at dropping 2 points at home to Forest at the end of the season, and I think that you guys regret that, probably.
Yeah, it'd be like if Liverpool lost the league by a couple points. Oh, they've lost at home to Forest. Like that's a winnable game. They should be winning that easy.
Yeah, especially if Chelsea finished like, 5th or something like that and miss out on the Champions League by a couple points. Like, I think you look back at that.
I think our teams in Europe this year might play a bit better. So 5th might be Champions League.
Well, some of us are playing better. Manchester United are not helping us with the coefficient.
We would never expect Manchester United to play well.
But speaking of none of those things, this is the segue to the Anthony Gordon show. Anthony Gordon returned to Goodison Park with his Newcastle side and missed a penalty.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about other than that. Like, I mean, he just got. He was in his own head for way too long. He took way too long to take that penalty. The VAR check took a little while. I just think that he got in his head for it. Pickford got in his head as well. Pickford's such a troll. Like, I hate Pickford for Everton. Love him for England.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
He's the exact kind of goalkeeper you want on your team, but you hate when he's on the opposition. It was a terrible penalty. It was good save. Pickford, perfect height for him. Not even in the corner that much. So, and then he was a ghost. Gordon, that is, for the rest of the game. He really didn't do much.
So here's my question on
I guess.
Why are they handing the ball to Anthony Gordon in this situation?
I mean, who else?
That was going to be my question. Is Anthony Gordon your normal penalty taker, or do you not have one and do you give it to whoever?
Alex Isak is our penalty taker, but he's out injured. So next up is Anthony Gordon.
Okay.
Whenever Isak's not on the pitch, Gordon takes the penalties. So it wasn't because he was against Everton. It's just because he's our penalty taker when Isak's on the pitch.
But and I get that, and having the set order is a good thing. But homies, was his club. He's played 3 games less for Newcastle than he did at Everton. This is his hometown team. He's kicking into the home fans, right? It's not like he's got Newcastle fans behind him. He's kicking into the supporter section.
You're not going to switch up your penalty taker just because it's against your old club. You expect a player to deal with that pressure. Anyone can miss a penalty. Anyone can score a penalty.
Sure, but he didn't miss the penalty. He just as soon as he started hesitating, I would have.
Yeah, but you can't make that call in that moment. Imagine
correct, because then it destroys him.
Gordon, you're off. Right. Trippier take it. You can't do that. You got to trust your own player to.
I also probably but okay, cool. But I still want to push this back onto Trips for not holding the ball and acting like he was going to take it and giving Gordon that break from everybody yelling at him for those few seconds.
I don't know. I think you need to make penalties. If you're a professional footballer, you're a professional in the Premier League, you need to score penalties. I don't think we should give Gordon any
Oh no, there's no excuse. He should have.
You got to score penalties. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter where you're playing. It doesn't matter against whom you're playing. You need to score penalties.
Yes, 100%.
You're essentially arguing that Romero should hold the ball to give Son a break on missing a penalty. You know what I'm saying? That's not a real argument.
But have you seen that tactic used?
Yeah, a year ago, Martin Odegaard held the ball and then handed it to Saka, and then Saka handed the ball to Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz scored a penalty for Arsenal, his first goal for Arsenal, and now he's unstoppable. And so,
but what I'm saying is in that type of environment, Anthony Gordon coming home, if he's going to take your penalties, and that should have been part of the plan, that somebody else take the seat for a minute,
score the goal.
Regardless, I agree with you. Yes, he should have scored the goal. But they also didn't give. I
agree with James. Situation. It's not on the captain to baby his player. It's not on the captain to baby his teammates.
Score the goal. You're a professional footballer. Yeah. Score the goal.
I don't disagree with you guys. I'm just saying,
you're obviously disagreeing. We see you. We see you actively.
He should have scored the goal. He should have scored the goal. But the team should have also probably protected him a little bit better. It can be both.
I don't think you're protecting him by taking him off the penalty, though. That's the opposite.
No. I'm not saying take him off the penalty. I'm saying somebody else was holding the ball while Pickford's yelling and screaming while everybody else is yelling and screaming at you. Then you hand the ball to Gordon and say, go kick the ball.
But Gordon knows he's taking the penalty. He knows he's taking it. How does that change anything?
Gordon knew the whole time. Newcastle have done that a bunch of times before. Loads of teams have.
Cool. I look. That's just
score the penalty.
I would have just.
Yeah, it was a bad game, bad result. I think even if. I don't know.
Brad, do you want Nicholas Jackson to hold the ball when Chelsea get a penalty against City?
Oh, Cole Palmer don't care. Cole Palmer don't have nerves. Like I saw Anthony Gordon shaking in his boots.
Oh my goodness.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Special shout out to Brentford. Okay. They score another, first it's technically the second minute they score. They didn't keep up the first minute streak, but it was a minute 30 into the game. Brentford score again.
They didn't have the kickoff this time. That was
absolutely insane. What's funny? It's funny you say that, Brad, because I was watching Football Fill-In a week ago, and I'm forgetting his name now. I just remembered it. The other goalkeeper that's on it was talking. He's like, just win the coin toss. Win the coin toss, knock the ball around for a few minutes, and don't let Brentford have the ball. And then Wolves won the coin toss, had the ball, and they still conceded a second-minute goal. It's insane. It's an incredible thing that they're doing.
Brentford figured these things out. Brentford had the throw-in coach.
Apparently, Brentford consider kickoffs as set pieces.
Yes.
So it's an intriguing way to look at it. It's just a long-form set piece, which is pretty interesting.
Brentford had Man United away next, so let's hope they can do it one more time.
One more time. That'd be a great way for whoever is the interim coach for Ten Hag. Because my guess is by the time this comes out, you'll probably have some sort of news on Ten Hag. Because the meeting was today.
If
on they were recording, the meeting was.
If he was sacked, they would have announced it. I don't think he's getting sacked. So you guys can let us know in the comments who you think. If you think he's getting sacked.
Is Ten Hag getting sacked
or
not?
Do you want Ten Hag to keep his job? I don't know. All right.
Hey, wait. For the record, RCR wants Ten Hag to keep his job.
Unless
for everybody here,
unless they want to hire Gareth Southgate. There's one exception.
Correct. Unless we know Gareth Southgate is taking the role, we would love it for Ten Hag to stay as the manager.
Yeah. So either Ten Hag stays or Southgate is the manager. Those are the things that RCR collectively wants.
Yes. We support.
I think that's all we really got tonight. Palace, Liverpool beat Palace and Arsenal beat Southampton. City beat Fulham. So the big boys at the top keep rolling. Nothing really interesting going on there. And so that's all we got. This is the only episode we're doing this week because we are on the international break. We'll be back next week. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't want to forget about this. You guys forgot about this last week. Points. So.
I'm sorry that the co-host didn't do the thing that the host does.
Yeah, well, you guys talked a lot of smack about the host last week. So let me make sure that I make up for all of your, shortcomings. But match week 6, which was not discussed last week, Joel and Jimmy tied at 6. Sean and I both had 5. Brad was in last with 4. And then this week, match week 7, Brad has a rebound. He picks up 7 points. Sean picked up 6. Joel and Jimmy tied at 5, and I had 3 correct. So that brings the overall total. First place is Jimmy. He's at 45. I have some questions about this, Jimmy. Is it just Jimmy, or is Jack? Are we fighting against two brains here? So I'm a little concerned about that. We might need to have some VAR check on that. Make sure that they're not cheating. Sean's in second with 42, right behind Jimmy. Brad's on 40 points. Joel is at 35. I'm at 32. So I'm just not catching up. I'm just dead in the water. Tam's eating chap. You guys have submitted picks
at some point
inconsistently. That's the best way to put it. So you guys are still on the spreadsheet, but yeah. If you're interested in seeing how well you fare at picking games, you can do that with our preview episodes. We don't have one of those this week, but we'll have one next week where we will preview match week 8, and we'll all submit our picks and figure out who is the most correct. But until then, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, review, whatever, all those good things. Find us on social media. Brad is at KSBradG. Sean is at Whiteheart_Sean. Joel is still at Joel_Finley16. Joel Finley16.
No underscore. Yes.
Joel Finley16. No underscore. I'm at James Tiffany. Collectively, we are redcard_radio. And we will be back next week. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy the time off. And until then, have a good one.